Cook Islands Prime Minister Mark Brown's defending issuing exploration licences for seabed mining. He's accusing foreign leaders, calling for a ban of being hypocritical and ironic. New Zealand is one of a dozen countries backing a conditional moratorium on mining in the high seas, but Prime Minister Brown insists his jurisdiction could be world leading in the sustainable mining of the metals needed to support a transition to green energy. Our New Zealand Bureau Chief Jessica Maggio travelled to the Cook Islands to meet the Prime Minister.
Golden apples ripe for the taking.
My country is 2 million square kilometres of ocean. We're 99.99% ocean. So the avenues for diversification in our country eventually lead to the ocean.
Cook Islands Prime Minister Mark Brown is upholding a decision to explore seabed mining across the country's 15 islands. That's despite increasing calls for a pause on international deep-sea mining.
So for countries that are telling us to be part of a moratorium, I think is hypocritical of them to call that, when it's countries like us that are right at the forefront of the impacts of climate change.
French President Emmanuel Macron became the first head of state to officially call for a complete ban on any seabed mining at this month's climate change conference in Egypt. It was the strongest position taken by any of the 167 UN Convention on the Law of the Sea signatories. But the stakes are high. 5,000 metres deep on the Cook Islands seabed are millions of potato-shaped rocks. These rocks are rich with four of the most expensive and rare metals: cobalt, copper, nickel and manganese. Hot commodities in a world dependent on electronics and electric vehicle production.
I think it's very ironic. The push towards renewable energy to try and reduce carbon emissions to below 1.5 degrees is going to cost trillions of dollars. It's going to need and require metals that currently we don't supply enough of from our current terrestrial sources.
If harvested, Cook Islands could stand to earn billions.
One of the solutions provided to Pacific nations from countries like New Zealand and Australia was to send your workers to pick apples in New Zealand. So my reference to the metals in our deep ocean is our golden apples that we can pick ourselves.
New Zealand has backed calls for a conditional moratorium in the high seas, seeking more research on potential environmental impacts of deep-sea mining.
We've observed across the Pacific that there is a changing sentiment amongst some of the Pacific nations.
Foreign Affairs Minister Nanaia Mahuta says she respects Cook Islands' sovereignty.
And I have to, highlight that New Zealand's position in this area doesn't affect the sovereign decisions of other Pacific countries.
But the Cook Islands government says it wants the same thing.
Every Pacific country has a very strong affinity with the ocean, so anything that is done that may damage the ocean is a cause for concern.
Environmentalists and NGOs say with less than 1% of the seafloor having been explored, the environmental and cultural risks remain unknown.
We have roots that are deeper than the ocean.
But mining companies say exploration is the only way to determine what exactly is at risk.
Our exploration over the next 5 years is what we're hoping to do is scientifically confirm what we understand is in our environment today.
That's why we need more independent research to be conducted, because the mining companies are the only ones that are doing the research and collecting this data.
Approved licence holders insist findings will be impartial.
When the impact assessment comes through, the critical question to ask is the impact acceptable? That's really the difficult question that's going to have to be answered. If the impact is not acceptable, then there's no go. They can't proceed.
In 2017, Cook Islands lawfully established the world's largest multi-use marine park called Marae Moana, or Sacred Ocean. It included a 50 nautical mile or roughly 100-kilometre exclusion zone around the 15 islands where commercial fishing and seabed mining is not permitted. It saw bipartisan support to help protect the country's ecosystems and marine life.
We have around 13% of our EEZ outside of those areas that have been allocated for exploration activities.
The distinct clash in narrative has stemmed from exploration of the same metals taking place elsewhere in the Pacific Ocean. Canadian firm The Metals Company has just completed the area's first ever successful nodule collection. CEO Gerard Barron says studies have already proven the environmental impacts are far less in the sea than mining on land.
But they literally lie on the ocean floor. And so we don't have to dig or do anything dramatic to get to them. We just have to lift them up with the lightest impact.
The debate enticed an opinion from Australia's mining magnate Andrew Forrest, who also publicly backed a moratorium.
So, of course, Andrew has a large nickel business himself, and he's also promoting green hydrogen, but his comments displayed a distinct lack of appreciation for what's really going on in the space.
And for us, a moratorium is basically burying your head in the sand.
For now, the Cook Islands government says it's looking beyond international doubt to become world leaders for sustainable mining in the Pacific.
And we would be able to provide, if you like, knowledge and information to other countries as to how we pioneered the steps towards going to our deep ocean.
In the Cook Islands, Jessica Maggio, Sky News.